Welcome back to the desk. We're still on day 2, halfway done with the day, but still another halfway to go. J-Mac and Anatoly on the desk with me for the day today, and as you saw there, make sure you get your tickets at hi-rezexpo.com for, well, basically it's next weekend, right?
That's true. That's November 16th through the 18th. It's not too far away.
Not too far away at all, but on to what we've got to look forward to the rest of the day. Trifecta versus GetOnMyLevel. We're at the point in the tournament now where we get to see the very first teams get eliminated. We started with 14 in this tournament. We're about to cut it to 12 by the end of the day.
That's true, and it was an interesting journey of how these teams got to the lower bracket. Trifecta losing to Insignum, the European Smite minor league representative, and then GetOnMyLevel getting taken out by Mousesports.
And now GetOnMyLevel, definitely the ones that are on the, well, expected to struggle here in the lower bracket and probably not survive the day. Trifecta, though, well, they were expected to survive the upper bracket yesterday, J-Mac, and it wasn't to be the case.
No, Trifecta just didn't quite have it all together in their matchup against Insignum, but I can only imagine that after that, they've got the fire back in their eyes and they know what they need to correct going up into this matchup versus GetOnMyLevel.
Totally, we got to cast that set yesterday at Trifecta and Insignum. It was a back and forth encounter, but just a couple of things that Trifecta just didn't seem comfortable.
I don't know how much they prepared for that specific matchup, and I don't know if they expected to drop to the lower bracket this early into the tournament, so I don't know how much preparation they have on GetOnMyLevel as well.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing. I mean, obviously against GetOnMyLevel, there's only so much information you're going to be able to get about this team. They will, however, GetOnMyLevel today be using a substitute for their set. The actual player GetOnMyLevel will not be available, unfortunately, so they're going to be using SirEclipse as their substitute in this role. Potentially in the solo lane, they may put him in a different position. We'll find out when we get into game, but that's a bit disastrous again for GetOnMyLevel then, I guess, as well, with the fact that they're not going to have the full roster now.
That's true. It should alleviate a little bit of pressure for Trifecta now approaching this matchup.
Speaking of Trifecta, Paul is standing by right now to get interviewed.
Here with Trifecta's mid laner, Paul, and I gotta say, Paul, pretty rough day for you guys yesterday. So what have things been like after last night coming into today for the team environment?
Well, we didn't really prepare for our games yesterday, and you know, it's kind of a wake-up call, and so we're going to actually turn up the heat a bit for these next games.
And I think a lot of people, especially from the public eye, have really been looking towards you as like a catalyst member of Trifecta. Do you feel any of that pressure whenever you're like actually in game?
No, not really. I mean, I just think I kind of think of it as like a rank game sometimes. Like I'm just like, oh, you know, just another game. So no, not really, to be honest.
I mean, sometimes you make it look like it's a ranked game for you almost with how hard you're like killing people out there. But I honestly believe that you guys have had a lot coming into this writing. I know there's been rumbles behind the scenes, especially with teams talking about how you guys were the dark horse to look out for. Do you feel like that actually impacted any of the team mentality coming into this LAN?
Not really, to be honest. I don't know, everyone said we sucked during SPL, and then like suddenly people think we're like a favorite. It's so weird, but I mean, I'll take it, I guess.
Well, good luck to you guys for sure on your upcoming match, and I definitely think that you're still killing it. Just keep doing your thing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate Paul's interview there, because he's just straight up, we didn't prep, that cost us big, clearly, but also, like, how are we all of a sudden the dark horse when we had a terrible season? Like, everyone said we didn't do very well, which they didn't, Tolly.
And another one was how he treats every game almost like a ranked game, and the way he was playing defense on that middle Phoenix against Insignum, I believe it was, in game number 3, just went to go and show how confident he is at times.
I think even in that first game when he was playing the Ul under the right-hand side, Phoenix was really showing that he had that ranked game mentality, constantly just sitting there pumping out the in-hands.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed, though, with Paul's mentality in the interview, too, in terms of how he's taken it in stride. Like, a lot of people have been talking about Paul being such a big part of this Trifecta roster, but the ego's not gone to his head just yet.
No, not just yet.
But at least from what we can tell, right?
I mean, maybe so far, the way he's been defending, it kind of seems like he has like the old school Zap mentality, but either way, it's been working out certain games. They just need to start clicking on all cylinders. I think that collectively, there's been a lot of good moments in this game. Yeah, this is the first game where Paul was playing lights out, but they need to find ways to take their aggression and actually translate it to objectives to find victories, because when they get to the late games, it just kind of staggers for a Trifecta.
They're just not sure how to really close things out. I mean, especially against that opposition of Insignium yesterday, some of those games that ended up being closer and they win is because, like, well, Insignium kind of struggled with sieging those Phoenixes.
Both teams really seem to struggle with that come the late game. It was just ending the game. It seemed to be their biggest problem through here, but we'll have to see if that they can actually pull that through this time. Get, you know, kind of get their heads out of their butts and see, hey, now we got to really play for real because our backs are against the wall from here on out.
Really is. It's do or die for both these two teams right now. SirEclipse, the substitute for GetOnMyLevel, is about to get an interview by Taco. Let's see how he's feeling coming into today's game.
Here with GetOnMyLevel solo laner SirEclipse, and first things first that I want to ask is, what are the team's expectations coming into today after yesterday's performance?
I mean, we got completely but yesterday, but we seem confident coming in today. But I mean, Maker wants to solo Zapman again, so watch out, Zapman. Yeah, so we kind of confident. Maybe you can like scrap some kills and even a win. Yeah, so.
Well, you guys are a lot of fun to watch, I think, specifically because of the fact that you have such unconventional picks. I mean, they're just really out there. And so are those god choices that you make because of like comfort for your own play styles, or is it because you like what they can bring to a team environment?
Nah, it's pretty much like what we like in SCA because, like for example, Skadi, we got wrecked by Skadi, so we pick Skadi. Like if you, that's how it is in SCA. We pick what we want. We don't care about the meta, kinda.
Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to answer through a couple of these questions for the interview, and more importantly, good luck in your guys' matchup here against Trifecta, and try to kill it.
All right, thank you.
We pick what we want because we don't care. I like that mentality.
He's a good guy.
But to be fair, what is discussing there is the fact that if they lose against a champion or a god, they'll actually turn around and just pick it themselves, which isn't a terrible outlook because it's like, well, if they're doing well with it, we should be able to do well with
If you
it.
can't beat them, join them. It seems to be the mentality going on in Southeast Asia. And I also like what SirEclipse said, where Maker's going to be trying to solo out Zapman in the set. So keep your eyes on that dual lane.
I mean, that's just the history of SEA. Is just they just do whatever they want. If they want to ban a Habwa Loki first round of the draft, they'll ban it just because they don't want to play against it. They don't want to get wrecked by it. So that's really what I love about SEA in the time that I got to watch a lot of their matches.
I mean, if it's the Zapman we saw in Game 2 against Insignium yesterday, there's a chance Maker might be able to find that. But let's hope for different strides from Trifecta here today. Now, Trifecta, Scary, Sam for Soccer, Paul, NeiruMah, Zap. Who really stood out for you, Tolly, as like the person that well, put the team first?
So in game number 1, I believe it was Sam for Soccer on the Erlang Shen and also Paul on the Uller that played lights out. Outside of those two individuals, everyone else was just kind of in the shadows and in the dark. And if you're trying to win the games here at the HRX placements, you gotta have all 5 members clicking.
Yeah, for me, it was Sam and Paul pretty much almost all 3 of those games, especially in game number 1. Sam was playing lights out on the Erlang Shen. I wouldn't be surprised to see if they ban that one away, keep that one out of his hands.
It was a very quiet day at the office for Scary D yesterday as well in that solo lane. Now he's going to be going up against substitute SirEclipse, who we just interviewed. I mean, this is a time where Scary D should be popping off, correct?
It's very possible. I know that he's definitely switched his style since he was in Season 3, Luminosity back then, and now here with Trifecta. I think that he has the capabilities of playing aggressive. When he was at the world stage, he was actually popping off on the Amaterasu at times, so I kind of want to see that old Scary D in this week.
That's kind of where I was thinking about this too for the lineup of Trifecta. Whereas GetOnMyLevel, I think it's whatever they can do. Let's just see how game 1 goes for them, right? Like see how they match up against Trifecta, how fresh and ready Trifecta are today, especially with how the performance went yesterday for them.
I want to see the pop-up of all the players on Trifecta, especially Zapman, because they mentioned Maker and Zapman are going to be the 2 that we want to see if a solo happens. I want to see Zapman go back to kind of Season 1 Zap, just all in as much as he can to try and get those fights off against him.
Well, he's got to play Apollo then, right?
He has to play something other than the Hickeyi, I think, because like he needs to play those aggressive gods to dive in. And if anyone's going to be playing aggressive, I don't expect it to be Zap, honestly. I think that he's gotten over that mentality, and it's now kind of bled and translated into Paul instead.
Yeah, and I think that's the position and a current meta of Smite. Mid lane being a little bit more of the aggressive. Hunters there towards the late game. You should expect a attack damage carry to do is wait to the late game, get his items online, and then turn up kind of like Snoopy did last game.
And you can even tell that Zapman's doing a hard 180 from his old style in game number 1 when he played the NeiruMah, the mage quote-unquote ADC/hunter position, where you're thinking more of team fights. When you've kind of switched your identity to do that, it just goes to show a lot of maturity throughout the years.
And you can really even see it just in the way that he is presenting himself here onto the camera. He's very calm. He's not jumping up, going crazy or anything like that. He is 100% dialed in onto this
these
match.
days. He's got to use glasses, you know? Like, he's been around the scene a long time.
Maybe Tom should take
Staring
some
at that
advice.
screen or sometimes. I mean, I wear glasses, so I'm allowed to say that, you know? I got old too. I didn't used to wear them. Look at me now. Takes its toll, this Smite game business, I'll tell you that much. Average damage, though, for the season, 15,600, 28 for 36 losses. KDA 1.8. Is that surprising?
Not the highest of performances, but considering that Trifecta is the 4th-seeded North American SPL team, it just goes to show that those numbers can be boosted just a smidge.
Oh, for sure, especially for the season. The games like this are numbers where those numbers can get boosted if they go in the favor of Trifecta. Now, this is a best of 3 after all. Just a reminder again, loser of this goes home. That's the big key here. We'll lose our very first team out of hi-rez Expo placements here. Will it be GetOnMyLevel or Trifecta? Let's find out as picks and bans are about to begin.
And I think that Trifecta are going to be worried about Pele specifically. After their set against Insignum, the way Lasbro was able to pilot it, they're going to remember that set, and I think that they're not going to want GetOnMyLevel to get that goddess.
What would you like to see Paul go for this game? Do you want to see him like vary his gold pool up a little bit, show he's got a bit of muster, or go back to one of his usuals, which is quite varied anyway?
I'd like his game 1 to go back to his usual and get that first set secured win, and then game 2 maybe have a little bit more experimentation.
Odin and Mercury banned out so far. Back over to Trifecta then for their second ban. So Erlang, Pele, you were mentioning totally here?
Yes, I think that is going to be either the Erlang or the Pele specifically. Maybe even Freya, if that's going to be the case. And that's why I believe that the Terra was a throwaway ban, knowing that Erlang or the Pele was going to get banned. But GetOnMyLevel switching things up.
Well, we've mentioned this a couple of times about leaving big characters open so you can get 2 dominant ones. Erlang, Shen on the table right now. Also mentioned the Pele being available for GetOnMyLevel. One of them is being hovered over.
Yes, the Erlang Shen is a great pickup there because you have so much disruption there between your 9 turns blessing, the turtle form and knock-up, and it's a little bit of a flex pick. You can even throw it in the support role.
A very early Janus here from GetOnMyLevel. We haven't seen this god yet in this tournament.
Not in this tournament, no. I mean, Janus generally comes out to play, though, for the most part. He's relatively safe in the mid lane, has a lot of global mobility.
Now, normally when you're picking Janus this early in the draft, it's normally to take it away from your opposing mid laner. But knowing Paul, Janus is not one of his go-to gods, so GetOnMyLevel not really showing that they've done their research there, unless they're afraid of it getting banned out for whatever reason.
Is Freya going mid though, Tully? Is that guaranteed?
Oh, very possible. Very possible.
Just possible?
Yes, because there's so much burst damage on the Freya, and that will match Paul's style.
Interestingly enough, Trifecta need one more pick then. They've got the Artio so far. Scaredy could be looking towards that, as Naja is locked in. That's definitely one of Sam Soccer's go-tos.
Sam Soccer has been playing this god for a long time, even back in the collegiate scene. I mean, that's one of his namesake gods, is this Naja on the Susano as well, as another one that I really love seeing on him, but going this way. We'll see how it works for him.
The thing about that is, once Naja got locked in, you could tell NeiruMah was talking to Shadow Chair, and they were both giggling, and maybe that could be a Naja support the way NeiruMah was giggling.
Could have been. I wouldn't be surprised too much. GetOnMyLevel though, need one more pick before the counter ban phase. That looks like mid and jungle to me. Erlang definitely flexible to multiple roles, solo and the support if required, but definitely really finds his home in the jungle.
Against the Janus, I'm hoping to see Trifecta switch things up and go for either the Hunbats or maybe even the Susanoo. Now, with Artio and Naja locked in, Artio can go solo, Naja can go support, and that's a good way to chase the Janus through those portals between either the monkey bounces or the jet stream.
Is this draft going as you expect so far?
So far for GetOnMyLevel, this seems pretty standard here. We saw GetOnMyLevel himself pick up the Sobek last time whenever they played up, but SirEclipse picking this one up is not a huge surprise, honestly.
I'd tell you what, that surprised me, seeing the Ul ban. I mean, it wasn't the great... It was good for Paul, but it wasn't so good for Zapman. If you think Freya's going to Paul, then you can take that Zap if that's going to be the case.
I'm more scared of maybe Habwa, Kronos, or even a Hell, as opposed to Paul playing the Ul.
I got tingles down my spine at each of those.
Hell,
That
yeah.
worked good.
So Freya, I'm pretty sure, is going to go in the mid lane. There's just a plethora of hunters available for Zap to still pick from.
Cerberus taken out by Trifecta. Back to GetOnMyLevel now. Could go for the Jing way potentially, just try and limit the God Pull some more, some Hickeyi if they're going to keep focusing towards that Hunter role.
And Jingwei is a really good pickup against the Freya. You get whooped and then you just agility away. That's what Vote did in his matchup earlier today.
It's one of those few little interactions that sometimes often forgot about. You know, you think it's just a banish, but then she's up in the air and she gets that agility, gets that extra distance onto it. It's such a powerful matchup. And Kumbhakarna is a little interesting of a ban here. I would have seen it, you know, maybe flip the other way around, ban the Kumbhakarna up against, you know, Trifecta.
Kumba's really good though at just making sure everyone sleeps. And if you look at the roster you got from Trifecta already, short range, melee range is what I want to say. Yeah, sure, you get in there with the Sash and Najah, but once you're there, you've got to hit those basics. And the Yorn is good at separation, and one thing's for sure, Root is impactful against those gods.
Yeah, the Groggy Strike, keeping members such as Janus in place, preventing him from reaching closer to a wall to drop those portals could be a way to lock him down a little bit faster.
Good call on the Jing way. It will be locked in for GetOnMyLevel here. As we mentioned, it'll be effective against Freya a little bit off those banishes, but I'm pretty sure Trifecta knew what they were getting up to here. 2 picks still to go, and definitely a couple of roles open, which you're not really sure where some of these picks could go.
It's your guess is as good as mine, honestly, but with Hachiman being locked in, that's definitely going to go to Zapman with Freya going into that mid position. Still a question mark of where this Artio Najah are going.
I mean, it could be Spice and see Freya jungle. Is that possible still?
It's possible, sure. It does the
do a lot of
damage.
damage. She does have really good jungle clear. Whenever you get that 2-1 online, it really does start popping through there. But I imagine that this is going to be the Freya mid with the Hachiman locked in, and Chang'e back over to Scary D. Played very well with it in the game that he had up against.
So Chang'e solo, Artio support for NeiruMah.
For whatever reason, I'm still thinking that NeiruMah is not going to play a traditional support and still go for the Chang'e.
Is Paul joined GetOnMyLevel? Is that what just happened here? Hebo is the last pick for GetOnMyLevel. He's going to get a taste of his own medicine.
Oh my goodness. There would be a lot of poetic justice if GetOnMyLevel win this game with a Habwa.
Or just farm Paul with it. That's the main thing overall. Okay, picks and bans are in then. How are we feeling about how these drafts have gone?
Honestly, between Janus and Habwa, this looks like it's going, what, Habwa solo lane specifically? Erlang, Shen jungle, Sobek support. If GetOnMyLevel can get an advantage in the solo lane, I say they're going to win this.
If that's a Habwa solo?
If it's a Habwa solo and he doesn't get touched, then I think he wins.
But this is SEA, and they've had a history, one player in particular, Dracula V, the Janus solo. I would not be surprised to see if this Janus goes solo and this Habwa is a mid against Paul.
Yeah, but this seems better than Dracula V, so there's no reason they're going to be running that Janus in the solo lane. Thank you for that one. Trifecta versus GetOnMyLevel, a best of 3. And this is for all the marbles. Final vote, Trifecta or GOML?
Trifecta.
I still think that Trifecta should be able to win this. Freya, too much damage.
Let's get it over then. To the casters for game 1 of Trifecta versus GetOnMyLevel.
Trifecta up against GetOnMyLevel. Gonna be game 1 here, and this is our first really elimination set that we've been able to get to yet. The one who ends up dropping to this one will be the one that goes home in Trifecta. They will be going on, or whoever ends up winning in rather. Trifecta certainly the favorites to place the winner of SK up against Space Station.
Trifecta with their backs against the wall in a position that they didn't think they should be in. And if you listen to Paul's pregame interview, he said that they did not prepare at all for Insignum. It doesn't surprise me that was the outcome. If Trifecta didn't prepare at all, hopefully they prepared at least a little bit. And watch what GetOnMyLevel did yesterday.
And you heard what Totally was talking about, right? That there's a chance when you pick a hyper carry like this Habwa, that if he is able to have a comfortable game, as he is able to go sort of untouched and farm out, then they could have some trouble here. Now, it's IApex piloting it in the jungle, not in the mid lane or solo, like you might have thought. But if he is able to get out in front, Habwa's certainly someone that can carry a game.
Habwa can fight early, middle, late, doesn't really matter. As long as he's on even footing, he'll usually end up winning a lot of those trades, but if IApex is going to fall behind, then this pick will do very little very, very quickly. That's the worry.
You can see some recognition of that with early Aegis is picked up for Sam and for Paul to try and make sure they're getting away from crushing wave damage and the like. Not as much help with the purification beads unless you're early on that knockup, so it's likely better to make sure you can try and just immune that damage.
I did love hearing about MakerLovE, who wants to solo Zapman again.
That's right.
That happened, and Zapman might just get soloed by Hickeyi. Instead, has to use purification beads after that knockup and horrific emblem usage by Hickeyi. But I think the GetOnMyLevel still needs to be a little bit concerned because NeiruMah has a horrific emblem of his own, and they need to be worried about it.
Paul, though, doing the Paul
Bluefish,
things in middle lane with this Freya, just kind of bullying out his opponent. Neil could be in a little bit of trouble as well, but he's made it out. Right now, GetOnMyLevel a little bit more concerned with securing this purple buff for themselves, but using this Erlang effectively to establish early pressure. They can't get purple. They're going to try and go for Neil himself instead.
There's a horrific and beats by MakerLovE right away. Hickeyi,
So
the
slow.
slowest turtle on the planet, as Sam is making his way over here. He might be able to catch up and get a gank going, or he's got his choice of buffs to take.
Look at this damage from this Freya. Very nearly able to take down IApex there, but they knock him up into the portal. Unstable Vortex is there, and it's still not enough. Blink in, but Aegis from Paul was ready, but now he's got to run. IApex still has some mana. It's just not quite enough to get the kill.
So close, and Sam might be able to just waltz in and get the easiest double of his career. Bluefish, no portal. Sam misses the sash and should be able to just walk up, start autoing. Doesn't have that ring toss quite yet. There he gets it, and there goes first blood, the way of Trifecta.
Sam, with good timing, able to come back on the backside and punish that. I like the idea from IApex and Bluefish, because that's exactly what we were alluding to. If there was a way to try and secure an early kill for this Habwa, then it could definitely help them out in this game, but Paul just barely able to survive in that matchup. Now he has to be careful.
Yep.
IApex finds him. Sam will certainly punish on the back end, but IApex able to find the kill.
Good job by IApex. No way, Sam's ring toss is down and IApex is out of there. Paul ends up getting soloed in the mid lane by IApex.
Unfortunate that Freya ends up taking a spill there, and we kind of kept talking about it just up until it ends up happening. Able to find a kill from IApex. A nice job in that middle lane. But let's go back and take a look at the actual first blood again. This is where Sam was able to come back in, thanks to Respawn for setting this one up for us. But they just come in a little bit too far.
Well, a little bit of a whiff there on that one, but Bluefish, his portal's down, he's out of mana, he's got nowhere to go, and Sam knows that he has plenty of time to secure that first blood. No need to rush that ring toss and end up dropping both kills in that scenario.
So it does help that Sam was able to grab that first blood itself to put himself a little bit out in front on the Naja, who we've seen a little bit less of late. You know, had that passive change a while back, not getting all that free power anymore. But he's certainly still a great setup. One of those junglers that's very good pre-level 5 because of the sash. And we're seeing that here from Sam, trying to cause some problems from IApex, but the Atlas of the Yellow River a little bit better.
Good job by IApex, actually secured that buff as well as got out of danger. Good job by GetOnMyLevel's jungler. And this is a pick that definitely rings a bell for me at IApex playing at LAN, though I don't think it went quite as well for him last time. I want to say that GetOnMyLevel had to match up against Rival, I believe, earlier on this year or in the past, and I vaguely remember IApex's Habwa doing some good work, but ultimately not being enough. We'll see if he can keep this good start going. He has fallen behind in XP. He took a couple too many mid waves without being able to go and clear his own camps because of the pressure from Paul, but still sitting at 1-0 so far, certainly not a bad start.
I like the idea, though. Speaking of IApex, from his direct opponent, Sam for Soccer, looks like he's at least considering some early magic defense. Will very certainly get those boots first, which he does, but then can go into the Hickeyi, the runic shield, you know, and have some options there to give himself some nice early cost-effective magic defense up against IApex and Bluefish.
As long as Sam stays out of the duo lane, all he'll be taking is magical damage. Everywhere else is magical, and Sam's going to find Hickeyi, though, with that Windfire Wheels ultimate. NeiruMah here with the cripple, but not enough damage quite yet. Sam gets the ring toss up, and Hickeyi goes down.
Not yet level 5, so no 9 turns blessing there to try and help out for the Erlang Shen either. So a nice clean kill coming out from Trifecta. 2-0 for Sam to get started on this Naja. And for what it's worth, I think Sam and Paul both looked very good yesterday. So
yes,
if Sam's able to keep that kind of performance going, and the rest of Trifecta can kind of step up a little bit from what we saw from them yesterday, then this team really can be kind of as scary as we were hearing leading up to this event.
I'll steal your line that you said off air. 7 minor league players looked really good yesterday.
Right.
Sam, Paul, and Olive and Signum, who looked pretty good. Scary had some good moments yesterday. Neil had some good moments. Zap didn't have as many good moments. And I think that Trifecta's duo lane is going to be the major question mark in this tournament, and on if they can get the dream hack. How well will Zap and Neil do against the best duo lanes in the world? Will Scary D be able to continue to have big performances on some of those games? I mean, he finished game 3 yesterday, 0-0 and 0.
Scary D might be in some trouble now. Crushing Wave just barely connects. Meditation was there to keep him alive, and that's all he needs. Scary D barely makes it out over in solo.
Clutch med right there as another sash straight onto Hickeyi. Sam does end up stealing away that red buff from MakerLovE as well, and Zap will go over and pick that up so that both Paul and Zap have a red buff to their name. Great escape by Scary D on that right-hand side, and GetOnMyLevel did nothing wrong
Yeah.
in that spot. They played that well. Scary just played it marginally better.
barely able to make it out. It really just feels like they just barely didn't have enough damage. Now it's ApeX who's going to have to make a miraculous escape. A two-man knockup is a good start, but Scary D with mana and Sam Prasaka on his way means ApeX certainly will fall. Windfire Wheels more than enough.
Sam could have held on and just waited to get that ring toss going, but maybe wasn't aware if ApeX's blink was up, was worried about him getting out of combat from that position, so not a bad idea. Quick portal by Bluefish, and a necessary one because Neil, with that cripple, was coming around behind him.
That's right, Artio is so good at locking down some of these mobile characters that otherwise can escape. Take a look at Hickeyi, though, has elected for these Talaria boots earlier on, which is something we used to see a little bit more of, right? With like all the extra movement speed, but it's kind of dropped recently, but Hickeyi electing to pick it up here on this warrior support.
I think that as a warrior support, these Talaria are still fine. I still think that the tank boots are just a little bit too good to be passing up.
Sure.
It lets you still do a lot of damage, just like NeiruMah has. These reinforced trews are just really, really strong.
Neil and Paul considering trying to come up and strip away this purple buff, but will not get the option. GetOnMyLevel are there in full numbers to defend that purple buff. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion with this boot starts, because I think Guardians or supports in solo lane is probably a better way to say it, have a lot of options in terms of their build paths and where they want to go right around now. If Hickeyi thinks he can make the most use out of that mobility, then we absolutely have to see it from him, as Bluefish has a through space and time forced out.
Good reaction time, though, to that sash. Make sure that you don't have to use the purification beads from that position. But Sam, Paul, and Neil all here for a red buff invade, but watch ApeX, he's got that blink.
Paul chunking for Hickeyi, forces him up into the Valkyrie's discretion. Not a ton of damage out of it. MakerLovE, though, gets eradicated. A ton of damage coming up from Sam. MakerLovE ends up falling, so Hickeyi double for Zapman as 3 down for GetOnMyLevel, and the rest of Trifecta still here strong.
Sam still has Windfire Wheels. This might not be a disengage for Trifecta. Neil was low, so he'll hit the back, but if Trifecta needed to, they could probably turn and burn. For that reason, GetOnMyLevel is out of there. They don't want to keep that chase going.
And I think that's the correct call, as you mentioned. Trifecta will settle for grabbing the red buff and the oracles on the back end. But this has been good aggression from them throughout the early game. They've been pressuring the jungle of GetOnMyLevel very often and kind of constantly forcing GetOnMyLevel to have the quick reaction time like we saw from Bluefish earlier on to just barely get out with their lives, not even to mention to save their camps.
Trifecta's in a pretty commanding spot already here, Finch. 6-1 in the lead, 3K gold. So they're looking pretty solid, and Scary D has been able to stay safe in this lane, escaped that one gank that ApeX timed over on the right-hand side, and I don't think Scary's headed back to base once this game, and that's the mark of how well you're doing in Chang'e solo a lot of the time is, have you backed yet? And if it's 9 minutes and the answer is still no, and you've been able to stay relevant, then you're probably doing pretty well.
Neil is surrounded by 3 and doesn't have a whole lot of help coming. Gets the dash interrupted, but GetOnMyLevel, perhaps not enough information to know if it's worth chasing an Artio this early into the game, so we give up on it for now. We were wondering earlier where Sam was going to go. It's the on-key lane, which I think makes a lot of sense. Hobblers kind of like to be up close, and if you can interrupt that combo potential, then it's a good look even over the Runic.
I agree. I think that the Runic is attractive in this position, but the Anchile might be a little bit better. Great ult from Sam. Catches Bluefish unaware, and Bluefish never gets a chance to hit that portal again. Scary the one who notches it.
And that is impressive, as Bluefish has already shown us he can be quite quick on the reaction time, so catching him off guard, not the easiest thing to do, as blue buff stripped away from SirEclipse over on the right-hand side. Sobek might not hurt too much from that, gonna miss the farm more than anything, but he is a good bit behind Scary D. You were highlighting this earlier. Just significantly out-farming his ApeX, gets chunked by Paul and has got to run.
Neil is here, but great pin by Hickeyi, gets his jungler out of danger. But that's, again, right as red buff spawns. Trifecta isn't just forcing fights for the sake of forcing fights. They have really cleaned up what they had yesterday. And look, I understand it's not the same level of competition as in Signum, but I think that Trifecta looks focused here today. And they look like they came in with a cohesive plan to pressure in the mid lane, use Paul and use Sam to move each other around the map and get red buff invades going and play off that duo lane pressure that they'll get with Artio and Hachiman, and hope that Scary can kind of weather the storm over this right-hand side, and weather it Scary has. So Trifecta is looking a little bit more like a cohesive unit than they were yesterday.
And, you know, you heard Paul say it in the interview, right? We even saw some of them mentioning it on Twitter. It was kind of a wake-up call for them. They felt like they were able to take it as, you know, a bit of a learning experience. And, you know, if your sights are on finishing in that top 4, you know, hopefully you don't need that. But if you're in that spot where, you know, you have to take something from the loss, it looks like they certainly have. Trifecta, as you said, definitely look refocused here in this match. They got to make sure they continue that sort of cleanliness throughout the tournament if they make it. Because, again, this is that elimination game, and if they drop here, they'd be out.
Now, I went on my little speech yesterday about how you learn more from losing scrims than winning scrims, and so teams that have won a whole lot coming into events usually don't do quite as well. And I don't think that holds true whenever you're talking about actual games. As Bluefish, you can't go through there easily. NeiruMah's cripple does eventually expire and allows Bluefish to escape. But I don't know how much I love the we learned a lot from that yesterday. I mean, look, they already lost, so at least you learned something from it. Is better than just losing and having no idea, I suppose. But I think it still worries me for Trifecta with how they played yesterday.
It certainly does, and I like the idea there from ScaryD over in solo lane, trying to keep Eclipse within range of Sam Prosager. That's what the ult was for early in the body block.
Oh, that's that.
And MakerLovE is done. No soloing will be happening in the direction he wanted. It's Zapman who catches out the GetOnMyLevel Hunter.
That's just a bad fight to take for Maker. I know he wants it, and I respect that about him, but Zap's already finished his Devo Glove stacks, whereas MakerLovE went boots first, so he's way behind in those stacks. Plus, Zap is up in levels. Again, I love the mentality. Going in with a goal that you want to accomplish, I like it, but at the same time, you got to be realistic in that instance. And Zapman was way ahead from every measurable moment.
Plus, Hachiman's just so good at boxing, right? He can outrange you with the Eagle Eye autos that he's able to get off the first ability. The Heavenly Banner is such a good steroid. He can stun. It's tough for that one to go MakerLove's way under the best of conditions, and as you already highlighted it, those were not the best of conditions. So now a 3-level lead for Zapman, having a much better game here so far, 3-0-1, and looking comfortable.
I think that these sorts of games are ones that a lot of players overlook in the SPL, but I think after a loss yesterday for Trifecta, getting a game like this does help them mentally a little bit. I mean, Zap had a horrible set yesterday. There's no doubt about it, but for him to be able to come back, and I understand, again, it's a lower level of competition than what they're used to, but I think that getting a solo kill and getting into your rhythm on LAN again is something that is valuable. It's not worth, you know, nothing.
Through space and time, misses double waxing mood from Scary. They cannot touch this Chang'e over here in solo lane, and they've committed a couple times trying to bring him down. Now the rest of his team has an opportunity with ScaryD keeping 4 busy. Can perhaps look around, but no one really in position from Trifecta.
Neil bullying Apex in the mid lane, and no one's coming over to solo. I wonder where Trifecta's going to go here. Gold Fury is the obvious answer to go when there's 4 people in the solo lane who just push down a tier 1 tower.
And you saw where the 5th was.
That's right, so I don't know what Trifecta's really waiting for. Sure, they'll get this kill onto Apex in mid, but Gold Fury is definitely the bigger bounty, and now Neil and Zap will start it up.
They are going to look for it. Sam could be in trouble here in the middle lane. Eclipse is able to find the pluck, but Sam has the beads, which is better. Bluefish absolutely deleted by Paul on the backside, and Sam's ready to re-engage. They dropped the Gold Fury to come join this fight in mid instead, where Hickeyi has dropped down the Horrific, but it's a double from Paul. Zapman finds the Erlang, and now they can head back for the objective.
Red buff down already as well. They get a couple kills in mid. Still feel like they could have gotten this gold a little bit earlier, but no harm, no foul, I suppose. Trifecta look pretty likely to secure the first big objective of the game, and indeed they will. That pushes their lead to nearing 8,000 gold, and the experience is almost 13,000 already. 14 minutes in, experience still worth more than gold, and the fact that Sam is up 4 levels and Paul is up 3 levels is a scary spot for GetOnMyLevel to be in.
And how important has ScaryD's performance been this game? I know he's, you know, 1-0-1, hasn't been involved in a ton of the kills, but just his ability to survive over in solo lane, right? Able to defend against multiple ganks. It really has kind of freed up the rest of the map for Trifecta to feel comfortable. As MakerLovE is a madman.
I love it.
I don't know what to say.
I love it. Apex is coming to help, and he's like, no, I don't need it. Stay away. Let me get this by myself. MakerLovE probably not going to be able to do it right this moment, but still a small grouping on this left-hand side. You're right. I mean, I was highlighting the mid-jungle XP advantages, but ScaryD's got a 4-level lead of his own, though, don't forget, he did lose lane because his tower is already dead.
That is actually true. Yes.
Yeah, that's how that works. Yeah.
It doesn't matter that he's 4 levels up.
Nope.
Scary's tower went down first, and he'll have to live with that one. But it's sort of tough, isn't it, when you're going up against MakerLovE in this match, It's sort of like if you're playing like a fighting game against someone who's not very good, and they get like one combo on you and they won't shut up about it. Like MakerLovE, he does. It almost feels like even if he loses the matchup, he just wants the solo kill right now.
Yes.
And it's like this lower threshold for him to meet that Zap has to deal with over there in duo.
Always have to be worried about it for sure. And Zap seems prepared.
He does.
Take that as Apex loses half his health from Paul.
Polly.
Polly is done already, and a fully stacked Book of Thoth doesn't hurt either.
Not at all. And right now, Paul feeling pretty good. If he can catch anybody else out, we'll see if he can. They want this red buff one more time, as SirEclipse has 2 members there with him in middle lane. Through space of time already expended, but it's Zapman who's low. MakerLovE wants it so badly, and he gets it. I don't know if we can give him the solo, but he certainly got the kill. 2-man taunt from Hickeyi into the pen, but he needs more backup than this. He's in a lot of trouble.
Paul is unchecked right now. Valkyrie's discretion does all of Apex's health. He'll switch targets, look for Hickeyi now, and one shot should do it. Paul gets himself the double kill. But yeah, I don't know if you were watching MakerLove's cam during that little chase.
Did he pop off?
He was pretty happy about it.
That's the real thread that we're following on this one, is he's able to find Zapman in that fight. Again, I don't know if that fulfills all of the conditions he wanted, but it did say MakerLovE killed Zapman, undoubtedly. That it said that.
And there wasn't really anyone else that close. You know, Zap was on the horse escaping. And it's pretty close, right? Nice blink by Apex, knowing that he needs it. And I still don't know if he's out. He better walk all the way back. Paul is not going to dive that tower. I really thought he might wrap around and try and get this kill. Oh, now he is.
Yeah, why not? He's going to end up meeting up against SirEclipse, as the pluck does pull Scary D back into the tower, but the Chang'e can shrug it off at this point after stealing yet another blue buff from Eclipse. I bet we could count the number he's gotten on one hand. He's had a tough time here so far.
Only level 14 and down an entire Rod of Asclepius. Not that that's something that Sobek would usually build, but he's down a 2,500 gold plus item in the build and 3 levels. So he's kind of getting hit on 2 fronts. Scary D hasn't backed, by the way, since level 12. You can't purchase your second relic, I don't think, as Chang'e from outside the base with the bunny. You need to back to base, and Scary's been operating on one relic for 18 levels.
He's comfortable to do that right now. You know what can make up for that relic is
Maker. Yeah,
a 4-level lead. But yeah, he wants this one. Zap finds the knockup. Can't dash in through space and time. Would have been nice. Hickeyi trying to help out with this one. But as you said, I don't know how much MakerLovE wants them over here helping out.
That's right. Get away. I got this under control, boys.
Bluefish is the one that might need a little bit of help, as Sam off the mark with that Windfire wheels, and that means GetOnMyLevel going to keep up the aggression. Hickeyi look for the knockup, but Paul's damage is a joke at this point. Sends Hickeyi back, and Neil will hold him away.
Ultimate there to zone from SirEclipse as Apex looking for the crushing wave and crushes Zapman with that ultimate. Sam, no ultimate. It's a little bit of a ring around the rosy by the red buff, but Hickeyi showing up really only hurts because that gives Sam a perfect double ring bounce target. And that means they both fall.
I guess, yeah, he traded pin damage there for all the extra ring bounce damage, right? Yeah.
Right, and they're both slowed, and they're both cross-shredded, and Sam is now faster.
Yeah, not worth it as it turned out, as it ends up being a 2-for-1, as Zapman did take a bit of a swim there thanks to Apex, who found the kill, but it looks like it'll be Trifecta who's here for the Gold Fury spawn in just a few seconds. No real way for GetOnMyLevel to get in here. And again, this does look like much cleaned up from what we saw yesterday. 10,000 gold out in front once they complete this objective. 16-3 in the kills. Trifecta looking very good.
It's our second Gold Fury of the game. And look, Zap's taking 2 spills. GetOnMyLevel. It doesn't seem like it's just MakerLovE who really wants Zapman dead.
What did he do to them? Yeah.
For whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they watched Insignum yesterday and figured out that was their best plan of attack. But I feel like that they're missing the true objective here. Zap makes a lot of jokes on his stream about intentionally feeding and, you know, the tactical feed, if you will.
Right.
In some degree, this really is the tactical feed, because if Zapman's getting ulted and killed every fight, that means Sam and Paul, who are both higher level and doing way more damage than him, are staying alive and staying healthy and doing way more damage than Zap could do at this point in his build. So Trifecta, you know, we'll all have a little bit of fun at Zap's expense, but at the same time, it's really best for Trifecta that Zap is the one damage dealer who's taking all the ults.
It absolutely is, and for what it's worth, Zapman also getting plenty of damage off before his deaths anyway, so certainly not going to be the way, I think. This is not it for GetOnMyLevel, as they do at least get the tier 1 tower and left, but Pyromancer shredded quite quickly by Trifecta. They'll grab that objective for themselves and consider the Fire Giant, at least Zapman is. The rest of the team wants some kills as they find SirEclipse with the banish, comes right back down to the Windfire wheels.
He's going to need a lot of extra help to get this kill, and Zapman will oblige with a mounted archery. He gets that one for himself, a little bit of revenge on a GetOnMyLevel.
His ult, his kill, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Scary D didn't have the teleport, but he did back to base. He got his sprint all ready to go, so he's now fully stocked on the relic department.
And also the Lotus Crown, and still working as SirEclipse, only has tier 2 of his second magic defense item, forces the beads out for MakerLovE on the left-hand side. Meanwhile, GetOnMyLevel trying to find some kind of way to stop this Fire Giant from going down. Bluefish has shown his face too quickly and will certainly have to leave. Meanwhile, Hickeyi left alone on an island. Fire Giant now almost certainly Trifectas.
I don't know where IApex, or how IApex got on the south side of Fire Giant here, but he's in the wrong part of town, and in fact, he'll stick that back as Scary shows up to help out on the finishing touches of the first Fire Giant of the game. I mean, only 3 kills so far for GetOnMyLevel. IApex has 2 of them, and he's done fairly well for himself so far on the top. Well, it's just that the front line for GetOnMyLevel has no chance of withstanding the onslaught of Trifecta's damage dealers. 0-2 in level 16 for SirEclipse, 0-6 in level 11 for Hickeyi on this Erlang Shen. He's 4 levels down to NeiruMah. Neil can really do a lot of relevant damage to Hickeyi at this point.
And even still, Scary D hasn't been that much a part of all these big fights. I feel like we saw him over there in duo lane zoning. He's been defending over in his own lane. Things get even worse, I think, once he finally is okay with hitching his wagon to the rest of the squad, and they've got all those heals and the big Waxing Moon ultimate to facilitate as well. So it's starting to look dire for GetOnMyLevel as Fire Giant buff on all 5 members of Trifecta, and MakerLovE is all alone here.
Sam definitely did not need to use his ultimate, but he gets in and gets himself 7 in a row. Doesn't have a lot of CDR, only 10% from that on Chile, so it'll be a little bit before Windfire Wheels is up and ready. Must have been very concerned about that airstrike that could have been coming from MakerLovE, though. To be fair, I don't know that that gets Maker out of any danger anyways.
I feel as though I do and that it wouldn't have, but left side Phoenix now being considered by Trifecta. GetOnMyLevel not considering much of a defense here, and how much impact would it really have had?
Very little.
That one ends up falling away, and instead they'll settle for getting some pressure in right, which they do grab the tier 2 tower there.
1,500 gold spread across the team. Everyone could use an extra 300 at this point for GetOnMyLevel. There's no doubt about that. They need every dime they can get their hands on, so Trifecta still has plenty to buy. It looks like Hickeyi, they know the backs happen. Nicer space in time from Bluefish, but doesn't do enough.
He took it and a stable vortex, but the Waxing Moon there paired up with the Valkyrie's discretion. IApex and Hickeyi left scratching their heads. GetOnMyLevel gotta fall back.
Oof.
Yeah.
You think that you've got it going. And how often, that might have been the least damaging Janus snipe onto an enemy mid laner I've ever seen.
Yes, and unstable vortex.
Yeah, exactly. Paul shrugs it off and then just obliterates 2 people alongside Scary D. It felt like those 2 could have 2v5 from that position.
It definitely did. I think GetOnMyLevel felt the same way as they retreated tier 2 tower down, and mid Phoenix will be the call. Vanish lands onto Eclipse. He won't be able to find a charge prey. Phoenix already down and removed by Trifecta. They can keep going if they'd want to, or pull right over to the right side where a tier 2 still remains. By the way, Sam not here.
Nope.
He's been over there with the tier 2 tower and right this whole time.
And he not really need it. Hickeyi gets stunned, and Zapman finds his 3rd in a row. Bluefish's Aegis is well timed, but Zap gonna dash forward and finds the double with a nice crit right there. Good Aegis from Zap as well, notches him a triple.
And 2 more still out there. They're moving right into the Titan room. GetOnMyLevel.
Oh, come
not
on,
quite
Zap.
able to defend it here. Zapman not going to go for it. Going to take the W instead. Trifecta looking much better here in game 2 as Eclipse finds 1 more. Trifecta trying to keep their hopes alive, and now it's GetOnMyLevel on the brink.
Man, where's the old Zapman that's diving that fountain for the pentakill, man? We've been talking about Zap's maturation as a player for 4 seasons now, and still wish he would have gone for that one.
Right,
but
across the sky into the fountain.
Exactly.
That's an old school Zap move on Apollo, right?
New Zap, definitely not it. Maybe new glasses, new Zap.
That's what it is, yeah.
At the end of the day, Trifecta looked pretty good. They closed that one out pretty quickly.
Well, Trifecta looked much better there in that game, and if you're on the side of GetOnMyLevel, I think you're not wanting for things you can improve on from that one, right? Sometimes you're like, well, what should we have done differently? This time, GetOnMyLevel can go back to the drawing board, and there's a lot of things to try to adjust, right?
Yes, yeah,
it's
quite a
easier
few.
for 'em, yeah,
Quite a few. But I think that Apex played well on the Habwa. I think that the Bluefish was able to escape some situations where normally he would have been dead on characters that weren't the Janus. But overall, give MakerLovE something he could solo Zapman on, man. That's the storyline I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what he's going to go for, then you might as well
Exactly.
just feed
Jingwei
into
is
it,
not the
right?
pick, my man. You know, go with something else. Pick Loki for all. I mean, who cares? Just go for it.
Something that can try and facilitate it. But let's get it back over to the desk. Break down that game for us. Let us know what you saw.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Trifecta take the 1-0 advantage so far in this best of 3. 12 minutes in, 12,000 experience lead. That's as far as I can start things off in this conversation.
It was a rough start. You know, it was pretty even once there was a kill.
1 for 1, right?
Yeah, the 1 for 1 in the early game where Paul fell to the Habwa jungle.
Yes, we called it.
Yeah.
We got what we wanted, right?
Yeah.
But it just didn't continue that way.
No, it did not continue that way. From then on, it was just all Sam for soccer. 7-0 on this jungle Naja.
And then across the way, a couple of rough experiences. Bluefish really didn't get anything going on the Janus. A couple of snipes that came out. I did like the solo pressure they put on for a minute or two, though, J-Mac. I mean, they tried. SmiteVOD was causing them problems with Chang'e, so go and remove the tower as a 4-man unit. Seemed to be the plan.
It was the right idea to try and take down SirEclipse, but he just had perfect timing on his immunity frames, making sure that he doesn't get hit by the Sobek ultimate, and then backstepping so he doesn't get hit by the snipe, and then from then on, just turn around, waxing moon, and that's the end of the fight there. They eventually get his tower, but that's about it.
I almost would have liked to see things swap around in the draft for GetOnMyLevel. Put the Habwa in the solo lane. The Chang'e versus Habwa matchup is
Yeah, you mentioned
as
that, yeah.
old as time. And then have Erlang Shen in the jungle where you can make an impact anywhere you go anyway, and you can camp Scary D potentially to get the edge. And a fed Habwa is a happy Habwa.
Every fed character is a happy character, totally. Is there one that's not happy if he's fed?
No, I can't think of one.
I don't think there is, right?
Yeah.
Like, they all like to be fed.
Yeah, but a Habwa, I mean, like, that's like one of the top ones that you don't want to deal with.
Oh, no, sure. I mean, Freya's also another one, but that got through into picks rather than in the ban section, too. Still got to see the strength of the Freya, but strength of Sam for soccer, he's still playing pretty well. I think he played well yesterday, and coming to today, he's continued that.
Swapping from the warrior back into the traditional assassin that we see out of him, I mean, he made the transition very well, and that's just an insane chunk of damage onto MakerLovE there. I think, like they said on the cast, the ult was not necessary, but it just did its job.
Hey, it's flashy, it's big, it's crazy. Speaking of Maker, however, he did get that kill on Zapman.
It wasn't a solo kill, but it was during a
come
team
on.
fight.
We don't just give
and
it
he had
in.
no other target. No, I'm giving credit to where credit is due. He still wants to solo him.
Yeah.
But that's technically not a solo kill.
In picks and bans, though, the casters, they were discussing, like, doesn't matter, just go for the solo kill. Pick something like Loki, maybe. Should they look that route?
I mean,
if he wants it?
if that's his real goal, then sure, go for it.
I mean, it's an achievement,
At
but
that
there
point.
is that solo kill. He did all the damage himself there, Maker. Second one for him, and the scoreboard against Zapman. We'll see if Zap can get some revenge in this game. Trifecta looking pretty good, though. This is the Trifecta you expected to see against Insignum yesterday, but it wasn't the case.
They had momentum in this first game against GetOnMyLevel. They started off slow against Insignum 2. It took, what, 40 minutes to win that game? And then game 2, they actually got dominated against the Pele specifically from Lasper. And then game 3, things were not looking good.